In early 2023, Jimmy Donaldson, well, better known as Mr. Beast, right, uploaded a video titled 1,000 Blind People See for the First Time. The thumbnail, a masterclass in YouTube aesthetics, shows a young man with tears in his eyes, his vision miraculously restored, right? The video has, as of this recording, I think, nearly 200 million views. On the surface, it's the zenith of his brand of spectacular philanthropy, right? It's beautiful, emotional, it's a feel-good story. And yet, for the first time in his meteoric rise, it created a genuine firestorm of debate. Twitter, X, TikTok, countless think pieces erupted. Was this a beautiful act of generosity? Or was it, as some critics call it, inspiration porn? The cynical commodification of human disability for clicks. At that single video and the deeply divided reaction to it is the key to understanding the strange, new, and maybe at times uncomfortable phase of Mr. Beast's career. It's the moment the mask of quirky, rich YouTuber slipped to reveal the calculated, optimized face of a global media corporation. Sawadee Cup and welcome to another episode here for the Funk Report, Mindful Media and Communication. You know, we're the podcast that we try to make sense of media and the media world, and sometimes that world seems to be engineered to try to overwhelm our senses. So today we're talking about the titan in that world, so to speak, a man who isn't just playing the game, he's effectively solved it. Yeah, we're talking about Mr. Beast. And this is not a simple, the rise and fall of Mr. Beast story, because Mr. Beast isn't falling, right? In terms of subscribers and revenue, he's more successful than ever. You know, what's happening is something far more interesting from my point of view. He's experiencing, I kind of want to say, a profound even identity crisis, and we, the audience, are kind of experiencing it with him. So today I want to argue that the growing backlash against Mr. Beast isn't just about envy or online cynicism. It's a case study in the central paradox of modern creator economy, if you will. At what point does the perfect, rational optimization required for platform success completely annihilate the perceived authenticity that creates a human connection? And to understand this, you need to go beyond YouTube analytics. We need to bring in some serious theoretical firepower. We need to talk about French philosophy, German sociology, and more. Because to truly understand Mr. Beast, you need to understand Baudrillard's hyperreality. That's the French philosophy, in case you didn't catch it. And Max Weber's Iron Cage. That's the German sociology. But hey, let's start slowly first. Let's give the devil his due, right? You can critique Mr. Beast without respecting the sheer genuine of his rise. Jimmy didn't stumble into fame. He pursued it with the single-minded focus that made him so successful. Yeah, I noted down, and now I'm hesitating saying it, single-minded focus like a research scientist. I'm just hesitating because I'm supposed to do some research right now, and I'm clearly not doing it. So maybe even more single-minded. So if you go back to watch his early videos, right, you can see him reverse engineering virality. Yeah, he famously spent years analyzing what makes a video successful. A/B testing thumbnails, dissecting audience retention graphs, and so on. His communication strategy was built on two pillars that were perfectly calibrated for the YouTube environment. First, escalated spectacle. It started small, like I counted to 100,000. Then it grew to, I spent 24 hours in a slime pit. Then it became monetary. I gave a homeless person $10,000. The stakes were always rising, creating a constant, like, what will he do next feedback loop with the audience. Second, weaponized generosity. Giving away money isn't new, right? But Mr. Beast framed it not as charity, but as entertainment. The money was a plot device. It was it was the important thing that drove the narrative forward. The communication wasn't look at this social issue. It was look at the insane thing I can do with money. A different point of view, different angle, different frame that he was using. And for years, this formula was untouchable. He mastered the language of the platform, the rapid fire editing, the high contrast thumbnails, the immediate verbal hook better than any human on earth. He wasn't just the creator, he was the architect of modern attention. Everybody copied him. The thumbnails all looked like Mr. Beast. The start of videos were all Mr. Beast-like. The call to action, the funny ads, everything was Mr. Beast-defied, if you will. And this then led us to the uncanny valley. Because if he's so good at this, why the recent backlash? Well, because the system that he perfected is beginning to show its cracks. The audience eventually is starting to sense that the human is disappearing, replaced by the brand. And this is happening on three fronts. First, the philanthropy as a content model. It has hit a wall eventually. Yeah, the blindness video was kind of like the turning point. The act of doing good became inseparable from the act of producing content. So the audience began to ask the uncomfortable questions, like, are the recipients of his aid being helped, or are they being used as props in a narrative? Is this mediated generosity truly about them, or is it about the emotional reaction of the viewer and the ad revenue it generates? In a second, his content has entered what we call the uncanny valley of optimization. You know the concept from robotics and CGI, like when a simulation of a human is almost perfect, but something is just slightly off. It creates this feeling of profound unease. His recent videos are so ruthlessly optimized for engagement, like every frame, every line, every reaction shot is engineered for maximum retention, that they no longer feel like they were made by a person. They feel like they were assembled by a powerful AI trained on a data set of 1 billion views, and it's not even like, completely out there. Yet the spontaneity is gone, and what's left is like this perfect soulless product. And finally, there's the CEO reveal. Yeah, the launch of Feastables chocolate bars, for example, Mr. Beast Burger, and so on. It's not just a side hustle. It's a fundamental shift in his relationship with his audience. Yeah, the parasocial bond, that one-sided feeling that a creator is already complicated when the creator is actively trying to sell you a hamburger. You're not just longer a member of the audience. You're a target market. Hey, buy my stuff. The question, why is he making this video, used to be answered with, for fun, for content. Now it's impossible to ignore the new answer and to build brand leverage for his consumer goods empire. So it has completely changed. Now, how did it all happen? Yeah, we have the evidence, we see it all, but how do we make sense of it? So let's bring in the theoretical toolkit, okay? Ready? I told you we're talking French philosophy, German sociology, and so on. So first, let's bring in good old Jean Baudrillard, French postmodernist. One of his most famous concepts is called hyperreality. Baudrillard argued that in a media-saturated world that we live in, right, it's everywhere all the time, we lose the ability to distinguish reality from what he called its simulation, the fake reality, right? He used the analogy of a map that becomes so detailed it replaces the territory it was meant to represent. It was way back when he made that example. But this is exactly what's happening with Mr. Beast philanthropy. The actual real-world territory is the messy, complex, often boring process of arranging surgeries, logistics, aftercare for 1,000 people. The map is the 8-minute, perfectly edited YouTube video with uplifting music and, tearful reaction shots. For hundreds of millions of people, that map has replaced the territory. It has become hyperreality, a simulation of charity that is cleaner, more and more satisfying, and more, air quotes incoming, real than reality itself. The backlash is the feeling of what we call cognitive dissonance when we realize we are consuming a perfect map instead of engaging with the messy territory. So once the audience realizes that, the audience realizes that, you're like, no, why? I want real. So that's what's happening. Then, when we turn to German sociology, Max Weber explained the uncanny valley that I already mentioned. His great theme was, because he's German, rationalization, okay? The historical process by which society becomes increasingly dominated by calculation, efficiency, formal rules, squeezing out traditions, spontaneity, and emotion. Sounds very German, right? So Mr. Beast represents the total rationalization of entertainment, the Germanification of entertainment, if you will. He's okay. Let's move on from Germany, but he's the Henry Ford of YouTube. Okay, he has taken a creative act and turned it into like an assembly line for producing morality. Every input is measured, every output is analyzed. But Weber, he warned that this process leads to an iron cage. We become trapped in systems of our own making that are so efficient, they crush the human spirit. So you're in that iron cage and you cannot get out anymore. And the iron cage from Mr. Beast, and they're just complaining on a high level, but it's his own success, right? The machine that he built is so effective, the audience expectations so high that he can't stop now. He must continue to optimize, to escalate, to rationalize. He's trapped in the cage of the very logic that made him successful. So that the soulless feeling of his content is the sound of the bars of the cage closing in. So doesn't this sound like a paradox? You're a content creator, you want to be creative, and then you're trapped in that iron cage. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a creator's paradox. And Mr. Beast clearly isn't like falling in a traditional sense, right? He's ascending to the logical endpoint of the creator economy. He's transforming from a person into a platform, a human into a hyper-real brand. And this brings us back to the theory from our last episode, actually. So if you haven't watched or listened, do that. His journey is a perfect case study of Habermas, what we discussed in the last episode, system colonizing life world. For years, Mr. Beast successfully simulated the values of the life world: friendship, fun, generosity, human connection. But the relentless, rationalized logic of a system, the optimization, the monetization, the corporate expansion, has now completely taken over. Yeah, the factory, that's a reference to the last episode, the factory has finally paved over the entire park. And again, to understand this, check out the last episode. The backlash he faces is from an audience that can feel the colonization happening. They sense the authenticity they once connected with is being replaced by a perfect but empty simulation. So the tragedy of Mr. Beast isn't that he might fail. He's got so much money, doesn't matter. But it's that his version of ultimate success requires the creator to become the machine, and the act of giving to become a product. So Mr. Beast, he's both. He's a pioneer of what he used to do, and he's also a profound cautionary tale for anyone who wants to create a genuine connection in the age of the algorithm, because there's no way to escape it. Or is there? With this question, I'll leave you be for this week's episode of FunkitPod, Mindful Media and Communication. If you found this analysis valuable, you can show your support by liking, subscribing, or maybe even curing the vision of a few thousand people. Your call. Until then, check more out on FunkitPod on all the socials. Leave a review, leave a comment. We'll talk soon. Shalom.